Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something that's, well, really popular right now. Manifestation. You know, turning thoughts into reality, all that. We got an episode from you called How to Manifest Anything You Want in 5 Easy Steps. It's from a podcast, Manifesting Miracles with Nancy. She had this expert named John on. So we're going to unpack this whole idea and see if there's any actual useful stuff we can take away.
It's definitely a topic that gets people talking, that's for sure. You've got people who swear by it and others who are, well, a little more skeptical. But I think no matter where you stand, there's something to be said for looking into the ideas, right? Seeing what clicks.
All right, so let's jump right in with step 1. Get clear on what you want. John really emphasizes being specific, like
Yeah.
really specific. He gives the example of aiming for $10,000 a month doing work you love versus just wishing for more money. It makes you think, right?
hmm
Have you ever set a goal that felt more like something you should do instead of something you really wanted?
Oh, for sure. And I think that's something a lot of us have experienced. It's so easy to get caught up in what we think we should want? Societal expectations, pressure from family, all that. But at its heart, I think manifestation is about aligning with your true self, what you really genuinely desire. And when your goals are rooted in that real yearning, the energy is just completely different.
Okay, wow. I'm already feeling a little called out here. I've definitely had those should goals, the ones that just kind of fizzled out because they weren't really exciting me. But this whole aligning your energy thing, how does that actually work? I'm not going to lie, it sounds a little woo-woo to me.
I get it. It can sound a little out there at first, but think of it this way. Our thoughts and emotions, they create a kind of energy, like a frequency,
Hmm.
and like attracts like right. So if you're always focusing on what you're lacking, on the negative, you're basically sending out that energy.
So if I'm walking around with this woe is me attitude, I'm probably not going to attract a winning lottery ticket, huh?
You got it. You're creating resistance to abundance. But when you shift your internal state, towards positivity, gratitude, belief, you start to vibrate at a different frequency, one that's more in line with attracting the things you want. And John talks about things like visualization, affirmations, and gratitude as tools to help with this.
So instead of, I'll never be able to afford that dream vacation, it's more like, I'm open to receiving abundance and experiencing incredible adventures.
Yeah, exactly. It's about moving from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of possibility. And the more you cultivate those positive feelings, those beliefs, the more you start to embody the reality you want. It's almost like you're sending a clear signal both to the universe and to your own subconscious about what you're ready to receive.
But what of those inner voices? You know the ones that say you're not good enough or this is never going to happen. That's going to mess with the whole manifestation thing, right?
Absolutely. Those limiting beliefs, they're like roadblocks, energetic blocks that can totally sabotage our efforts. And a lot of times they come from past experiences, things we've been told, societal conditioning. Jung calls this step 3, release resistance and limiting beliefs. And it's super important, a crucial part of the process.
So how do we actually get rid of these mental blocks? It's not like we can just snap our fingers and poof, they're gone. Or can we?
Well, it's definitely a process, an ongoing one, but the first step is awareness. Start paying attention to that self-talk. Notice those negative thoughts and really question them. Are they based on facts or are they just fear talking?
I like that. It's like a mental game of fact or fiction. So instead of, I'm not qualified for that job, I might challenge it with, actually, I have a lot of relevant experience and skills.
Exactly. And then, as John suggests, replace those negative thoughts with positive affirmations. I know it might sound cheesy, but saying those positive statements consistently can actually start to change the way your brain works. It's like creating new pathways.
So it's not just about positive thinking. It's about actually changing the way you think on a deeper level.
That's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we've gotten clear on what we want. We're shifting our energy, and we're working on breaking down those limiting beliefs. What's next on this manifestation journey? All right, so we've done the groundwork, getting clear on what we want, that energy shift, working on those limiting beliefs. But now how do we actually make those dreams happen, bring them to life?
Yeah.
That's where step 4 comes in, and John calls it take inspired action. And he makes this really cool distinction between inspired action and, well, just forcing it.
Yeah, this is where it gets real. It's about moving beyond just the thoughts and the feelings and actually taking those steps toward your goal. But as John points out, it's not about just any action, right? It's about aligning those actions with that deeper sense of purpose, that excitement that we talked about before.
Okay, I get it in theory, but I'm definitely a show me kind of person. Like, what does inspired action actually look like in real life? Can you give me an example?
Sure, sure. So let's say you want to start your own business, right? You have this dream. So forced action might look like frantically signing up for every webinar, every course you can find, feeling super overwhelmed and pressured to make it happen like overnight. But inspired action, that might be more like following a hunch to connect with a mentor, or taking a pottery class that gives you a new product idea, or even just taking 30 minutes a day to just brainstorm, just to refine that vision.
So it's less about like checking off boxes and more about tuning into what feels good, what excites you, what you're actually drawn to.
Exactly. It's like, think about those times when you're so into something that time just flies by, that flow state, being in the zone. That's a huge sign of inspired action.
So it's not about the shoulds, it's about the hell yes. Okay, I'm starting to see the difference here. But there's this other part that always gets me, those limiting beliefs.
hmm
How do we keep them from coming back and messing things up, even when we're taking action?
You've hit on a key point there. Those negative thoughts, I'm not good enough, I'll never be successful, they can be so persistent, so sticky. It's like they have a mind of their own. But remember, just because a thought pops up, that doesn't mean you have to believe it.
So it's not about silencing those thoughts completely. It's more like choosing which ones to listen to, which ones to give power to.
That's it. And John talks about using affirmations to combat those negative beliefs. It's about consciously choosing to focus on the thoughts that uplift you, that empower you, not the ones that bring you down.
Okay, so I've tried affirmations before, and sometimes they just feel, I don't know, cheesy, kind of forced. Any tips on making them feel more real, more powerful?
It's all about finding what works for you. But one way to approach it is to phrase your affirmations as if they're already true. So instead of I want to be confident, try saying I am confident and capable.
So it's about embodying that feeling of already having what you want, even if you're not quite there yet.
Exactly. It's about bridging that gap between your current reality and the reality you desire by aligning your thoughts and feelings with your goals. And the more you practice, the more natural it will become.
Okay, so we're taking inspired action. We're tackling those limiting beliefs. We're feeling that energy shift. But honestly, a part of me still wants to like grab the steering wheel,
Yeah.
control every little detail. How do we let go and trust that this whole manifestation thing is actually working?
That's the final step, and maybe the hardest one. Trust the process and let go. John admits it can be tough,
Mm.
especially for those of us who like to be in control. But he says that surrendering is essential to letting the universe work its magic.
Okay, but surrender. That that sounds a little scary. Does that mean we just sit back and wait for things to happen?
Yeah.
Like do nothing?
Not at all. It's more about letting go of that need to micromanage every little outcome. It's about trusting that the universe has this bigger plan, even if we can't see it yet. It's about having faith that even the detours, the setbacks are leading us somewhere good.
So it's more about being open to different possibilities and trusting that things will work out, even if it's not, exactly how we planned it or on our own timeline.
That's it. And this is where gratitude comes in. When you focus on appreciating what you already have, it shapes your energy, right? From
Yeah.
lack to abundance, and it strengthens that trust that the universe is supporting you.
This has been so eye-opening. This whole conversation, we've talked about so much, from getting clear on those desires to taking action to even surrendering to the process. But there's one thing I'm still curious about: intuition. How does that fit into all of this? So we talked about getting really clear about what we want, aligning our energy, taking that inspired action, and even surrendering to the process. But what about that inner voice, that gut feeling, the one that sometimes whispers or sometimes shouts even guidance? How does intuition fit into all of this? Like, where does it belong in this whole manifestation thing?
Intuition, it's a really interesting part of manifestation, and I think one that's often kind of mysterious. Some people might just brush it off as just a feeling, but I think it's a really powerful form of wisdom, and it can really guide us to our right path. Joe actually compares it to having an internal compass, which I think is a great way to think about it.
I love that analogy, the internal compass. But to be honest, sometimes mine feels like it's spinning all over the place.
Hmm.
How do we actually learn to tune into that inner voice and really trust it, especially when there's so much noise, in everyday life? It's hard to hear anything over all that.
It's definitely a practice, it's a skill, and it takes time. But one of the best ways to connect with your intuition is to create space for stillness. So that could be through meditation or spending time in nature or even just taking a few minutes to breathe deeply, to just quiet your mind, throughout the day, little moments here and there.
So it's about quieting down all the external stuff so you can actually hear that inner whisper, that quiet voice. Yeah, I've noticed that when I'm feeling really overwhelmed or stressed, it's almost impossible to access my intuition. It's like my mind is just going a mile a minute.
That's exactly it. When we're in that fight or flight mode all the time, our intuition, it just gets lost in the noise. But when we can create some calm, some presence, that's when our intuition can come through. Think of it like tuning a radio. You have to find the right frequency to really get a clear signal, right?
That makes a lot of sense, the radio analogy. But how do we know if it's, really our intuition speaking, or is it just, wishful thinking? Is there a way to tell the difference?
That's a great question. And it can be tricky sometimes to tell those voices apart, but one way to know the difference is to pay attention to how the guidance feels in your body. So true intuition, it often comes with this feeling of peace, of alignment, sometimes even excitement. It feels expansive, like you're being pulled forward by something. But if it feels tight, doubtful, or if it's coming from fear, then it might be, your ego talking or your fears.
So it's not just what you're thinking, it's the feeling too. Like if an opportunity feels exciting and like it's in alignment, then it's probably a good sign. But if it makes you feel stressed or like, I don't know, like your stomach is in knots, then maybe it's a sign to pause and check in with yourself.
Exactly. It's about listening to your whole self, your whole being, not just your head. And the more you practice this, turning into your intuition with smaller decisions, the more confident you'll become in following it for those bigger choices in life.
So it's like a muscle, right?
Mhm.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm feeling really inspired to start paying more attention to my intuition. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to highlight about the role of intuition in manifestation?
I think the most important thing to remember is that intuition is a gift. It's a source of inner wisdom that's always there for us. It's not something we have to, earn or deserve. It's just about learning to listen.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive into this whole world of manifestation. We covered so much, from setting those clear intentions to aligning our energy to taking action to surrendering to the process to even tapping into that power of intuition. I feel like I have a whole new set of tools to create the life I want.
It's been great exploring these ideas with you, and I hope our listeners are feeling empowered to start their own manifestation journey,
Yeah.
with these tools and a renewed sense of what's possible.
So to all our fellow deep divers out there, remember to be kind to yourselves, celebrate every step along the way, and never stop believing in the magic that's within you.